Going live. Going live. Am I live? Am I live? Yeah. What's up, yo? What's going on, everyone? Yeah. Video's jacked up. How's the video all laggy? That's all right. It's a Monday, right? Yeah, buddy. Yeah. What's up? What's up? What's going on? Welcome to this fine Monday morning edition of BS with Hannas. What's going on? What's up, world? What's up, YouTube? What's up, internet? That's me. I'm Nicky B. Hannas, my little morning YouTube talk show. I like to get out here. The whole premise of this show is I'll wake up and I'll take a nice walk and I'll read some good stuff. And then I'll come out here and talk to the people. When I'm done talking to you people, my people, what do you mean, you people? My homies out here. What's up, EMP? Good morning, dude. Happy Monday to you. When I'm done here, I'll go lift some weights, go throw some plates around and shit. You know what I'm saying? And go to work. And that's it, man. I like to talk about things that I'm finding interesting or what I'm finding helpful, unhelpful, useful, not useful, so on and so forth. And it's a fine Monday, dude. It's a fine Monday. We all survived the snowpocalypse. We're all gonna die. My one homie works in a grocery store. He said they had a record week, and it's like a smaller grocery store of that particular location too. So if a small motherfucking grocery store is breaking records more than like COVID numbers, even though everything's more expensive now, so who the fuck knows? I don't know how to measure all that stuff. But look, this is what all the panic buying got us. All the people out here spiraling and going crazy and losing their motherfucking minds. Now it's a Monday and things are pretty much back to normal. Maybe a delay here or there. Maybe the kids are home from school. At least in my life, everything's normal though. So, back on that horse, dude. Yeah, got up, took a nice little walk, had to prepare my driveway a little bit. Shoveled like 3 times yesterday. It's a pain in the ass. And I was out with the weighted vest on, walking around the neighborhood, getting them outdoor workouts in. It's a whole different game in the snow. that shit was intense when it was coming down. It was like sleet, hardcore snow. It was like a foot and a half, maybe not a foot and a half, but in some spots when the wind hit it, yeah, it's like a foot deep of snow. And everyone's out there snow blowing and shoveling. And I'm like, I'm the only asshole. I'm the only idiot out here rocking around. But it was awesome. It was great, man. So everyone's distracted by either one of two things right now. Either we're distracted by the snow or we're distracted by the ice. That's kind of where we're at. Everyone's freaking out about this ice shit going on in Minneapolis. I wonder, it's that thing, it's happening again. The current thing is going on. And I don't have the time or desire, especially, to pontificate. Oh no, he did actually. EMP, yeah, he was. I'm coming back up my hill, and I'm like, I'll be right there, dude. So I see him with the shovel out there. The roommate helped this time, and I appreciate that shit. He got some bunch of salt for the driveway too and shit. It's good looking out. Yeah, it's me. Sometimes you're pleasantly surprised by things that you don't expect. But yeah, I come walking up the hill. I'm like, hold up, dude. I'm the only one in the hood just fucking walking around. It's all good. But yeah, I don't have the energy or desire, especially to be an analyst about the ice shooting. But it's interesting. I feel that sensation. It's the current thing. It's starting to trickle in everywhere and hijack our attention. And I'm paying attention. Of course, I'm paying attention because I think a certain level of civic attention is necessary, a certain level of watching what's going on, seeing how moves are made, what's the next coming thing. I think it's important because you never know. You never know what it turns into. It was a small series of things that turned into COVID, for example. And that ended up being massively, hugely disruptive. And who knows, dude? Like, I'm close enough to Philadelphia. So if the current thing, trademark, registered, registered trademark, if the current thing goes from where it's at to closer to me, all of a sudden it will affect me. Not in my direct line of sight, but just insofar as, people I know, people I generally like, the things that I'm closer to start to get brought into this miasma by osmosis. So I think it's important to pay attention to it. And I'll tell you this, as I just scroll and, when you're on the Instagram and you're doom scrolling a little bit, you're clicking through people's stories. When I start seeing people kind of posturing, when I start seeing people saying, fuck ICE, fuck the tyranny, all of a sudden these people are, it's another instance of everyone being an expert all of a sudden. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to mute that story. I don't feel like seeing this negative bullshit. I'm going to mute this story. I don't feel like seeing this negative bullshit. I'm certainly not going to engage with these people because I generally like them. And if I see motherfuckers on the street, the last thing they're typically going to do is be like, so what's your opinion on ICE? Mhm. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Take it easy with that. Take it easy with that. Yeah, she says can't even go on social media. It's infuriating, which is probably a good thing. It probably means don't bother wasting your time going on it. Like, but I like using it. I'm not going to not use it because there's fools on it. I'm just going to mute their stories. And if they're posting a whole bunch, I'm just going to mute their posts. Y'all don't even need to know if I fucking unfollow you or not. I'm not that worried about it, but at a certain point, it's like I get to control what I look at. I get to control what I'm feeding myself. I get to control my mental diet, my thought intake, because it all adds up. And I find that I start looking at people a certain way when people, it's like this. So this is your call to say, come and take it. Motherfuckers like me were crazy 5 years ago talking that shit. But now, because of some things that are happening to a stranger by other strangers in a strange city far away from you, doesn't really affect you. But here's that vacancy in a lot of people that's like, all right, well, it's time to stand for something, I guess. Time to stand for something. Yeah, I mean, that's just what I think. That's just what I think, at least. And it's annoying because I'm not pro federal agents in the street. Jerome Wright popping it hot in the chat, saying "fucking A, baby." Yeah, what's up, man? Yeah, I'm certainly not pro federales in the streets. I'm absolutely not pro federales, agents of the state, just indiscriminately shooting Americans. That's suffice to say, that's horrible. But I don't know that that's exactly the truth of what's going on. Yeah, that's interesting. And how Jerome says, I'm definitely pro feds in the street. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, why the fuck should I be? But it's interesting because you need to kind of know what the fuck you're talking about, I think, to be useful in this conversation. You definitely need to know kind of what's going on. On principle, fuck that. Get them out the street. They're redcoats. 5 years ago, it would have, what if there were blue helmets? What if there were UN rank and file agents just in the cities? Um, Hold on a second. People at work are texting me. I don't know if we're going to open or closed. Hold on one second. Dun, 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 dun. Hold on. Where's the music? Is this going to play? Hold on. Hang on. Sorry, one more time. There we go. Sorry about that. I don't know if these motherfuckers are gonna. Everyone's gonna want their cheeseburgers today, but I'll brave the drive. You got to stand for something instead of just having shit to stand against. And if I profess to take pride in my work, then I fucking better be ready to get to work, not wake up and I hope the boss doesn't open today. Oh, I'd really like to just kick my feet up. I gotta fight that. I gotta fight that fucking instinct. Jerome says it never would have gotten to this point if they didn't allow millions of them to just walk across the border. Yeah. And here's the thing, too. This is what I'm saying. You need to kind of know what you're talking about. As far as I understand, by virtue of federalism and having a federal government under a United Nations that constitute the entire country, right? There's this thing that's called federal supremacy, where if you have local township police and state police, there's a little pyramid there. There's a hierarchy of laws and sovereignty. I believe that's the words involved is the sovereign, the state with a capital S, proper nouns. So if you have local police and even state police in on something, as soon as the fucking FBI come in, as soon as the CIA come in, or the NSA, or the fucking TSA, or the ICE, or what have you, DHS, anything with an acronym, that's federal. My understanding is that they will take precedence operationally systematically over anything going on boots on the ground. So in this instance, when you have whatever you think of the righteousness or virtue of the laws being infringed that requires law enforcement from an a fucking body to come in and enforce. In this instance, it's the whole premise of ICE is federal government agents dealing with transnational individuals, people that are not the citizenry. They're not residents of a state. They're not residents of a city. They're not residents of the country. So who's got the authority? Local police don't got the authority to deal with that, really. The most they can do is what's in their fucking immediate operations, which is typically arresting, the act of arrest, and the act of detainment, the act of processing, the act of booking. Depending on the situation, uh, then they can hold them and imprison them, jail time, so on and so forth. So, premise of the whole fucking thing, it's within the domain of the federal government. So, like, I'm not pro ICE. I'm not anti ICE. It fucking it is what it is, dude. It fucking is what it is. And my opinions on this shit, generally, as far as immigration goes, is I love my Latino brothers, dude. I've worked in kitchens my whole life. I don't ask questions with these motherfuckers. Don't know nothing. I fucking love these dudes. But these motherfuckers know what they're doing. People don't just show up here accidentally. And if they do, when did they show up accidentally? It's like a 2-year old, it's like a 3-year old. To my understanding, that was the whole implication of Obama's Dreamer Act. And that's like amazing. What an incredible tactical rhetorician Mr. Obama was. Because they're dreamers. They're dreamers, don't you know? And I feel bad for these fucking people. Because then they grow up in a foreign land. They're not a citizen, but they can't be fucking kicked out. They're like this gray area. So when I hear people talk about the powers that be and these evil tyrant politicians holding demographic blocks of people hostage, that's the first thing I think of is people that grew up from 3, 4, 5 years old, but since they're a resident, even if they're not a citizen, we got to give them schooling. Just the way the systems are. Whatever you think about it, that's how it is. You got to give them schooling, give them access to driving, give them access to banking, give them access to this, and that. You fucking forcibly integrate them into society, but don't give them any of the claims to authority that sovereign citizens have. But then these motherfuckers with suits and ties and lapels get on stage, liars across both aisles, and they use them as talking points. They use them as chess pieces. They use them as leverage. Entire blocks, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of fucking people, of humans being used as bargaining chips. And that's the evil of the fucking system. So when this shit happens, it's a logical conclusion, or it just gets left untouched to make sure we feel good, make sure we feel it's good type of way. And then the problem persists. And now you get the litany of headlines and the fucking horrible shit that happens, of which there's a tremendous amount of horrible shit that happens, The whole immigration thing is so fucking messy, and it's not a hill I fucking die on, but it's obviously a problem that needs to get fixed. You know what I'm saying? And that I guess that makes me this type of he's such a racist or fucking whatever. Nah, I'm not pro fucking just letting the whole world fucking crash here. That's insanity. But welcome to 2026. These motherfuckers operate on insanity. They operate on just this shit, and then people have to fucking stand for something. So now we're making arguments about shit that we don't know nothing about 10 minutes after it happens. And, let's pull in the old bag of tricks. What's that old thing that people were saying? Everything I don't like is Hitler. This is that. So now motherfuckers are like, this is Trump's Gestapo. This is Trump's Gestapo. Can you believe it? And they're posting fucking pictures of, Stalin guards and SS guards. And guys. And I see it on people's Instagram stories. And it'll be that. And then the immediate next story is them like with a drink or something, sipping on something nice at a cozy fireplace on a snow day, doing a whole lot of nothing. And it's like, bro, no one, I guess it's just, who the fuck knows? It fucking makes me sick. It fucking makes me sick. And this shit's horrible. This shit's horrible. So here's my advice to any of my people out here, anyone who's in here, who's asking about, Benny, what's your opinion on all this shit? I think it's lamentable. I think it's terrible. But why are you going to a volatile situation knowing that shit could pop up? Are you antagonizing? You want to antagonize? Well, that's how people get fucking punched in the face. And sometimes you get punched in the fucking face, you got to get your jaw rewired. Well, I didn't mean to push him that far, motherfucker. You don't know who you're dealing with sometimes. So when there's armed agents of the state in the street and you guys want to make your voice known, I'm going to express my First Amendment rights. You should be aware that the people who gave us, quote unquote, gave us, rather enshrined and framed us so the government cannot take away our First Amendment rights because they come from God, our creator, nature's God, dog. That don't come from the fucking government. But be aware that when you do that, the ones who pointed this out to us via the First Amendment, they were ready to be hanged as traitors. Every single one of them. Every single one of them were ready to risk life and limb for their freedom of assembly, for their freedom of religion, aka the right to protest and use their voice to speak truth to power. So don't be surprised if it comes closer to you than you think. You put yourself in fucking harm's way. If motherfuckers would get out the way and let these people do their jobs, and that's not to say that, well, look at them licking boots. I could give a shit less. I could give a shit less. I know that if these fucking armed federales were in my local town, I'm clearing the fuck out. I'm clearing the fuck out because there's more to life to me than sticking up for people that I don't know that probably don't need me to be, don't need me sticking up for them just so I can signal my own virtue and tell everybody how compassionate I am, how loving I am, how appreciative I am of the contributions to our multinational and multicultural society. And dude, if you're going to the fucking grocery store, get in and get the fuck out. Go buy your bread because it's going to snow. We're all going to fucking die. Make sure you got your yogurt. Make sure you get 6 gallons of milk and keep it fucking pushing. Going to get in a cop's face. Surprised when you get maced. Stay the fuck away from that shit. You know what I mean? Like, just stay the fuck away from it. But what do I know? Maybe that's a position of privilege. Maybe that's a position of, well, you're a man. Look at me, dude. You think I'm fucking. Is this the face of a well to do member of society? Is this what a fucking person who can just, hey, excuse me. Look, you see my skin cop? You see the kind of gringo I am? Just leave me alone. All right. I get knocked the fuck out just the same, dude. Because you put yourself in that position and it sucks. It shouldn't have come to that. But, and now all the fucking libs and leftists and, the progressives, aka communists, are like, well, look at this. What a violation of the Second Amendment. Like, you idiots give a fuck about the Second Amendment. The first rule of the Second Amendment, aka keeping that motherfucking thing on you, is stay the fuck out of problems. Absolutely do not go instigate. Don't even be near it. You're motherfucking armed. That's a lapse of responsibility to a gun owner and a person who's licensed to carry firearms, regardless of the situation. That's for when you're tread upon. It's not a fucking game. It's not something to go play with. And it sucks, man. It sucks because that's a real person. That's a real human. Their fucking family's going to feel that loss forever. And now that family is going to be another political bargaining chip in this big fucking Game of Thrones level proxy war where you're just a number, dude. You're just a person, a useful fucking name, a useful story. Now your whole life has been reduced to perceived martyrdom, which is rhetoric for malicious and malignant people to fucking use. So that's what I think about the whole shit. That's what I think about the whole shit, dude. It sucks. And it ties in with a lot of the stuff I'm reading. This is the current state of things is extremely relevant to why I be reading all this old revolutionary era stuff. It's where do we come from? What formed us collectively, us, as Americans, if you identify as an American, which I do, American as fuck, as a matter of fact, a heritage American. I don't have another country to go to. I'm not first generation American. My parents weren't Italian. They're not British. I'm a fucking American. That's it. It's as simple as that. So I should study my history. I should study. How can I complain about immigrants, but take no pride and express no learning or integration of my own fucking heritage? That doesn't stand to reason to me. And as I'm reading this book, The Radicalism of the American Revolution by Gordon Wood, there's a quote that stuck out to me tremendously. This is from James Otis Jr., who I wrote in my notes. He was an upward-seeking, new blood, new era gentleman. I've talked about the gentleman class, a.k.a. the aristocracy, a.k.a. the elite, the whole spectrum of the quote-unquote elite, separate from the masses, separate from the mob, separate from the average man. So this is from James Otis Jr., who was from the same era, one of the players in the game of the revolutionary era, the founding father era. He says, the only principles of public conduct that are worthy of a gentleman or a man are to sacrifice estate, ease, health, and applause, and even life to the sacred call of his country. These manly sentiments in private life make the good citizen, in public life, the patriot and the hero. Mm. So, what happens when people aren't concerned about being good citizens, but they want to be considered heroes? That was so prescient, dude. I mean, I fucking read that and immediately thought of all this shit going on right now. I wonder what these guys would be like if they were on social media. I guess they're at the time that was still in the wake of the printing press, which is a communications fucking revolution in and of itself. You know, we're about 10 years into this to a massive one also, aka social media. Everybody's got a voice. Even the illiterate. Even the illiterate can leverage technology to express themselves and whatever. The principles of public conduct that are worthy of gentlemen, those of virtue, those of esteem, that are those that are above just being laborious. Principles of public conduct that are worthy of gentlemen or men, sacrificing one's estate, one's ease, one's health, one's applause, and even their life in the sacred call of his country. I guess these people do it, the protesting masses, you know, they do it in the, they believe it's for their country, but I don't even think they do. They don't do it for their country. They do it for this construct they call being a good human. Put a trademark on that shit too. Just be a good human. I believe in being a human. Duh. Duh. You know, this isn't political. This is about being a good person or not. Like that fucking means anything. So these are my thoughts on it, man. You know, that's what he's saying. These people they are in fact sacrificing they don't have an estate to sacrifice. Part of being of the gentlemanly class, you know, part of being that enshrined fucking whatever, you know, that element, that fucking part of society, the gentleman class. Part of that was having property and having money, having a little bit, having to free yourself from the necessity of toil. Well, welcome to 2026 America. Most of us are out here toiling, thinking like poor people, probably while we're projecting all our bullshit elsewhere. So they don't have an estate to sacrifice. They don't have an ease of life to sacrifice. You know, what kind of ease of life? You know, when I say, oh, just worry about yourself, that doesn't imply my life is easy. Shit, I get up every day and bust my motherfucking balls to hopefully mobilize myself upwards. That's not ease, you know, but their ease of life has never been better. Netflix and DoorDash and all this shit these fucking people in the self development spaces talk about, you know, but that's true. That's the gelatinous mass of most people out here. So they got no estate to sacrifice. I guess they sacrifice their ease by getting out on the street and playing protest for a while. I wonder what they do when it's done, when the whistle blows and protest time is over. It's interesting. Health, well, you know, in the most obese, sedentary, mentally ill, over-medicated, self-diagnosed, neurotic, and generally unproductive society, statistically, that's been recorded statistically, you know, not really a whole lot of health there to sacrifice, you know. They're not sacrificing their leg day to go protest. That's for sure. And applause. And that's the thing. They all want the applause. They all want the applause. They don't sacrifice their applause. They fucking crave it. They crave it. Sacrifice all that and even their life. And yeah, these people believe in their shit. Can't take that away from them. I can't take that away from them. They believe in that shit to answer the sacred call of their country. Well, they perceive it, in my view, the sacred call of their humanity. And I just don't agree. You know, in private life, they make the good citizen, and in public life, the patriot and the hero. And they all want to be a hero. They could give a fuck less about being a patriot. You know, they hear me going on this long-winded tirade. And then if at the end of the day, I say, yeah, I would consider myself an American patriot. I want what's best for my country. You know, I want to contribute to it. I want to be a participant in it. And I want to ensure its future fruits. You know, they'd say, well, you're not a patriot. That's an outdated notion. Wow, how exclusive. And it becomes a mess. It becomes a mess. So that's where we're at. Can you believe that's where we're at? I sound like fucking Tim Pool right now. And I'm even wearing a beanie like Tim Pool. I make myself sick. If anyone in this chat ever sees me put on rollerblades, fucking just take me out, please. Take me out behind the woodshed, cock and load, and bang bang, please. Don't let me degrade myself to that level. But it's interesting, dude. I think it's just so interesting. I think it's important to study these old notions of patriotism and country because that's all we're bombarded with. If we choose to let ourselves be bombarded with these other things, these external things, you know. But you got to work on yourself. I think the self is the prime intersection of all of it. If I was a loser, this is all my opinion. It's my show, so it's my opinion. If I was a loser, if I had nothing going for me, nothing to look forward to, if I was devoid of hope, if I was fucking just looking black pilled, truly, as they say, my subconscious would have been wrecked. It'd be in a state of wreckage to the point where it's easily hijackable by these high passion, high pathos things that the puppeteers can fucking just start marionetting this shit. And humans are the most effective marionettes for political ulterior purposes that exist. And it sucks, man. I don't like seeing this shit. I don't like seeing the right wing say, oh, look, another dead socialist. I get it. I get it. But I still don't think that's personally the right way. I'm not pro feds shooting Americans in the street. That's for sure. And multiple things can be true at once. So I'm going to take what my dude James Otis says and just apply it to myself. I'm not, and at the end of the day, until I'm in a position where I can be considered a gentleman or until I'm upwards to a certain point, I don't own property. My net worth ain't no fucking good. I'm trying to make something of myself. Like I said, I believe that I'm working every day of my life to move that needle a little bit to becoming something of esteem, the esteemed class, which is slightly different than one's reputation and how well one is liked. There's nuance here that's important, what you actually attain and what you actually build and what you actually do and who you actually become. In other words, I'm working on that all the time, unceasingly and unrelentingly. So, private life and public life, work on the virtues. People who gave us this country, who built it, conquered to build it, and everything that goes into it it's such a massive thing to study. I'm wary of those who claim to be experts, but to those who write 400-page books about deep shit like this, I like it. I like it, which goes back to the premise of this show. Wake up and take a nice walk, enjoy your body, if you got the ability to do so. Read some good stuff, get a little better in the brain, go throw around some weights, get a little bit better in the body. Get to work, whatever your work may be. Handle that business. Get after it. Keep ripping. Don't stop. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I got for the day. On this fine Monday morning, I'm going to get the fuck out of here. I really hope we're opening late because it's fucking late. I was spiraling about snow and ice, but that's okay. That's all good. And I don't even try, I don't like when artists, musicians get political, but like it's something to be said for all of it. And it's attention. It's attention and a fine line to be walked. So here we are walking it. Appreciate you guys. Happy Monday. Keep it real. I'm going to get the fuck out of here. You like this shit? Thanks for hanging out. BS with Hannas on YouTube. Goes out to Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, so on and so forth. You want some music, some heavy blues metal? NikkiBHannas.com, NikkiBHannas.bandcamp.com, Nikki B. Hannas on all streaming services. Patreon.com/Nikki B. Hannas if you want to support the mission. One condensed feed of all the shit that I do. Keep working on ourselves, man. Don't let this evil shit bring you down. Resist the subconscious mind infection because that'll fuck you. That'll put you right where they want you. Keep ripping. Keep it real. One love. I'm out. Later. It's the wrong fucking soundbite. God damn it. That works. All right. Peace. So what I said, when I'm up to be something, well, that's so what I